Well, what's up, Resurrection students? It's Blake from West, and we are continuing our series this Lent. How is your Lent going, those 40 days before Easter? Did you give up anything, like soda or social media, or maybe using bad language? Or are you trying to take something on every day, like maybe praying or reading the Bible or attending youth group? Even though we're kind of into Lent, you can still try and start something these 40 days leading up to Easter. But last week we talked about the different parables of Jesus. These are sayings that describe how to live and act more like Jesus in our day-to-day. This week we are continuing to talk about Jesus, but this week we're talking about his writings and his teachings. Did you know that Jesus gave sermons? He actually gave a pretty popular sermon on the side of a mountain. Imagine giving a TED Talk on a mountainside. But we call it the Sermon on the Mount. Very fitting, I know. But it's in Matthew 5 through 7. Check it out in your Bible sometime. But the Sermon on the Mount is a teaching from Jesus that is centered around our relationship with God. There are lots of things Jesus talks about in this sermon, like loving your neighbor, like not giving in to temptation, how to pray, and so much more. But there's this passage that talks about being salt and light. Now, but it isn't the salt and light that you maybe are used to thinking about. Check out these words in Matthew 5:13 through 16. You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its saltiness, how will it become salty again? It's good for nothing except to be thrown away and trampled under people's feet. You are the light of the world. A city on top of a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a basket. Instead, they put it on top of a lampstand, and it shines on all who are in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before people, so they can see the good things you do and praise your Father who is in heaven. All right. Pause for a minute. Salt? What is this talking about? Well, what do you know salt to be good for? We know that you add salt to food when you're cooking. Fries have a lot of salt in them. They are so delicious though. But salt also can remove traces of water from aviation fuel for purification. Not just sure you knew that. Salt was used to preserve Egyptian mummies. Yes, interesting. Salt also removes difficult stains on pants and shirts and stuff like that. Actually, every cell in our body contains traces of salt, sodium. Kind of interesting. But Jesus calls us to be salt of the earth. Now, what do you think this means? Well, one of the purposes of salt is to enhance the flavors in food. We add salt to things to make them better. But this passage says that we are the flavor and the character here on earth. Now, we aren't supposed to lose this in our relationship with Jesus. What this is saying is that we need to try not to miss out on the chance to be passionate or all in on things when it comes to living out our faith. Now, too much salt when you add to something can actually make food not taste good. Having no salt can make food taste really boring. Jesus is saying that because we are human, we are already adding something of value to this world. Think about that for a second. If we didn't have people that were passionate about teaching, if we didn't have doctors that were good at giving care or coming up with medicine, if we didn't have people that were really good at cooking, or if we didn't have people that were good at building or construction, our world would look pretty different. We're all given unique gifts and talents and abilities, and it enhances our world that we all get to live in. There's also this call to be a light in the world. A light so bright that nothing can get rid of it. So not only are we called to live out who we truly are, our gifts and our passions, we're also called to give that to others in a way that reflects Jesus. In everything we do, we need to be reflecting the love of Jesus in it. Do you want to blend in or do you want to stand out? In middle school and high school, sometimes blending in is preferred, but Jesus challenges us to live differently and to stand out, to add who we are to the world. Jesus shares that when our lives reflect who God is, others are positively impacted. And we have the capacity to be world changers when we follow the teachings of Jesus. I think of all our students, a part of our church, that have been world changers, that have taken their gifts and abilities and just really enhanced it for the world and been a light for others. I think about every time we gather together on Serve, whether that's MLK Serve Day or summer trips. There are some students that are great at construction, at building things. There are some students that are great at planning or just reaching out to people and having conversations. All those people are working together and just trying to be a light in the world. They're going out of their comfort zone. They're willing to take a step and just push themselves and their faith for really great things. I think about a small group that reached out to me last week, and they're like, we want to serve in our community, but we just don't know how, but we're really good at crafts, at kind of doing stuff like that. And I knew another person in our church that runs this ministry that is trying to give blankets to people. And so I connected this group and that person, and this group is making blankets because they're good at it to give to homeless people and communities in need. Those are their gifts and their talents, and they're trying to give a light to people. So they're going to make blankets this week, and I'm really excited about it. Students, what would it look like if you chose to be salt and light to everyone you met? What would it look like if you took your traits and your characters and ability and chose to impact the world in a really unique and powerful way? What would it look like for you to be encouraging and positive to all people? I want you to pause for a second and think about who's done that for you. Maybe it was a teacher, maybe it was a coach, maybe it was your youth pastor or a leader, maybe it was a friend. I want you to think about that person and thank God for that person being in your life. And then pray that we would bring joy and encouragement to others as salt of this world, and let our light shine before others so that we can have Christ more reflected. Students, you are equipped by God to do good and hard things. So may you embrace that challenge and spread love and light to all people.